What's up, guys? Still here in the Fredericksburg area and just taking a quick trip out. I'm gonna do a walk around, take a look at Braehead Manor and a prominent home here in the Fredericksburg area. This thing was built back in 1859, just a couple years before the Civil War, and it was built for a guy named John Howison, and they were a prominent family in the area at that time. And to give you an idea of where we're at, we're maybe 3/4 of a mile from the Rappahannock River. Downtown Fredericksburg would be about a mile that way. And yeah, right behind the house is Howison Hill. It's where the Confederacy had set up artillery for the during the Battle of Fredericksburg. Right behind is a neighborhood called Braehead. Anyway, so, and about a half a mile in that direction was Telegraph Hill, which is now Lee Hill, which was Robert E. Lee's headquarters during the battle. And story goes, he came down here and had breakfast December 13th, 1862, the morning before the big day of fighting. And he had tied his horse Traveler to a walnut tree, which they say is still on the property. So, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, so, and John Howison had married Anne Richard Lee, distant cousin of Robert E. Lee, and she had died just a couple years before the battle, but apparently he was still friends with the family. So yeah, and you see, pretty magnificent home. Obviously has been renovated a lot, but no major restorations, because this is pretty much how it looked at the time of the Civil War. I know they've added a bunch of bathrooms in there. It was a bed and breakfast at one time, but looks like about 8 bays, these 2 towers on each side, this little hyphen in the middle, so kind of a distinct style. And I'm seeing 4 chimneys, and I think I read there are 8 fireplaces inside, just to give you some specs, 6,200 feet. So the Howisons, prominent family, and they had actually named the house Braehead after the ancestral home that would be in Braehead, Scotland. And the first to come over was John's great-grandfather, who was also named John. I believe that was in 1862. Nope, 1682. Yeah, so, and I'll also tell you, at the time of the Civil War, this was actually called Greenview. And so after John owned the house right after the Civil War, he had sold it to his younger brother, and his younger brother is the one that named it Braehead. So the Howisons lived in the house for 5 generations, 150 years, until the last descendant sold the house. That would be 2006 to the Park Service. They quickly resold it to a family that turned it into a bed and breakfast. It was a bed and breakfast for about 10 years. Until last I saw, it was slated to become a private school. And apparently that hasn't happened. I didn't see any signs coming in. But yeah, to tell you a little more about the family, John's sister was a lady named Jane Howison Beale, and she was a famous diarist. She wrote a famous diary of what it was like living in Fredericksburg during Union occupation during the Battle of Fredericksburg, and it later became a book. She was also featured in the movie Gods and Generals, and she lived downtown Fredericksburg, right across from the Mary Washington House at the corner of Charles and Lewis Street. A big blue house, pretty distinct. And she actually fled once the fighting began, fled out here. So, and to give you a layout, this was originally about 1,000 acres. It extended to almost the Rappahannock. The Howisons also owned a mill off the Telegraph Road, which is now Lafayette Boulevard, kind of on the back side of Maurice Heights, kind of around the curve there. Also tell you that about a quarter mile ahead of us, this property was sold, and I want to say 1937, to the Sneed family. They turned it into Braehead Farm, big dairy farm. And also tell you real quick, the Sneeds, their next descendant opened a farm down in Caroline County called Sneed Farm. It's kind of a popular farm in this area. And anyway, so just beyond the farm are the railroad tracks, the RFMP. And on the other side of that is a community called Mayfield, which was the black community here in Fredericksburg during segregation. And I'm wondering if they own that property. And I only say that because the main road in Mayfield is called Howison Avenue. And Yeah. Oh, it's also let you know they own 14 slaves when the house was first opened. So, yeah, as I say, this saw action during the first Battle of Fredericksburg, and actually more so during the second Battle of Fredericksburg. But yeah, so the second Battle of Fredericksburg, that would be in May of 1863. It's pretty much the part of the Battle of Chancellorsville. But Union forces had occupied the house, and yeah, it caused serious damage. They vandalized. Story goes they threw chairs through the windows, left a lot of graffiti on the inside. They killed livestock. After the battle, they used the house as a hospital, and story goes there was so much blood left on the floor they couldn't clean it, so they just stained over it. Just kind of a quick one, just wanted to show this place off. I'm just taking about a month off here during December, and probably the middle of January I'm going to crank things back up. Just want to take a break from all the traveling. So yeah, that's it for Braehead Manor. I'm going to fly my drone and get out of here, and I'll see you.